On Webs, it is Tuesday, September 26th. I'm going to do a race recap. I didn't do one last week. Sorry, but I'm doing one this week. So, yeah. Kyle Busch was on the pole for this week's race at New Hampshire. Yeah, so he got the pole. Good for him. That will end up. He won. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I already spoiled it. He wins. He jumped off to a pretty good start. Gets the lead. Ryan Blaney started fourth. He jumped up to second pretty quick. Kyle Larson dropped a little bit. He ended up getting back. Blaney dropped a little bit throughout the stage. They kept on talking about the sticky stuff. That I don't know the official term. It's like PSI 17493 C3PO. But they kept on talking about it. They kept talking about it in general, and it's the stuff that they put on one lane so you can have a second groove around the track to make the racing more interesting. It did make the racing more interesting, but I still like it when you get to race the track naturally. They did the same thing at Bristol. They put it on the bottom line. They put it on a higher line at New Hampshire because New Hampshire's a flat track. It's not really easy to go on the outside, so they put that stickier thing there. A lot of drivers, they'd enter the corner high, and they'd come down, and then they'd go up against the wall on the stretches. So on the front and back stretch, which was an interesting way to take it. It's a quicker way around the track just because of momentum and stuff, getting back to the throttle. So Truex took third from Denny Hamlin on lap 8. Logano, I didn't mention this, but he did not qualify because his car failed inspection during the pre-qualifying. Then he also got kicked out of practice, like he wasn't allowed to practice. So yeah, lap 10, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who was already in a deficit coming into the race because of the playoffs standings, he hit the wall. So that didn't help. I thought he was done, but he didn't hit it as hard as everyone thought. Truex moved up to second by lap 13, and then lap 32, Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch were like right there, right? Truex was on Kyle Busch's bumper. Then NBC went to commercial. Thank you, NBC, for going to commercial during a battle for the lead. Thank you. So then Martin Truex Jr. took the lead later, so I guess they timed that out right. A lot of drivers were talking about how hot it was inside the car. It was like the hottest day on record for the New Hampshire fall race. So yeah, lap 62, it was like 91 degrees. It was like 88 degrees in the air, but it was 106 on the track, so it was hot for those drivers. Larson passed Kyle Busch for second on lap 62. Jimmy Johnson, he passed Denny Hamlin two laps to go on the stage, and he was a little aggressive. He put the bumper on Denny Hamlin. 19th time this season, Martin Truex Jr. won the stage. I can't explain his dominance. I don't know what Toyota's doing. Him and Kyle Busch have been dominating recently. But then there's Larson in there, so you can make that argument, but sure. So, first stage, Truex won, Larson second, third Kyle Busch, fourth Eric Jones, fifth Ryan Blaney, sixth Matt Kenseth, seventh Brad Keselowski, eighth Jimmy Johnson, ninth Denny Hamlin, and 10th was Kevin Harvick. So, yeah. I don't know what to say about that. The stage points, you really need them. Truex already had a big gap. He had 53, and then he won Chicago, and he got another stage win, so he has 59 now. So he's basically locked if he doesn't wreck every race to Homestead. Truex was first off pit road, and then Kyle Busch and Truex were battling for the lead later in the stage, and there was a lot of lap traffic. So yeah, 14 to go on the stage. Stenhouse won a lap down. He's in the playoffs, so that doesn't help if he's a lap down. He's already in a deficit, and he just has to hope for the worst for everyone else. And then it happens. It happens. So little Ricky gets lucky because Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon gets under him. He turns him, and there's a bunch of smoke from the tires, and no one sees it. And Kurt Busch, his teammate, Kevin Harvick's teammate, slams into him. Truex, who was leading, got spun out by Jeffrey Earnhardt. Jeffrey Earnhardt crashed. Dale Earnhardt Jr. crashed. Truex spun, and then Kyle Busch passed him because he was spun, and Kyle Busch won the stage. Kyle Busch literally I'm not even kidding, he made it past the wreck by this much. He had to almost come to a complete stop and go outside. But yeah, so Kyle Busch won that stage. It ended up being a red flag because of all the damage. The cars were stuck on each other or something. There was fluid on the track. So second stage, Kyle Busch won, Matt Kenseth second, third was Brad Keselowski, Eric Jones fourth, Kyle Larson fifth. Martin Truex Jr., even though he was in the wreck, he didn't have bad enough damage. He was able to drive away. He just had a little left rear damage and a little bit of right front damage, yes. So they had to pull the right front out. They had to kind of pull the left rear back into place. Seventh, Jimmy Johnson. Eighth, Denny Hamlin. Ninth, Ryan Blaney. And 10th, Jamie McMurray. So, yes, that is that for that stage. Kurt Busch did not seem happy in his post-crash interview. He didn't really put blame on anyone, but he seemed upset that he got caught up in it. And then looking at the replays, it really just looked like Dylan just kept on. He was just so close to him that he tried to get to the throttle earlier and try to pass him, but it wasn't even for stage points. It was 14 and 15. And he just made contact, and Harvick wasn't spinning like a top. So, yeah. Kenseth was restarting second on the inside line on that initial restart, and he just did not get a good restart. And everyone on the outside was able to fly by. So, if you were behind Kenseth right then, you were upset. Johnson, Larson had a nice battle for fourth. Kenseth was able to take second from Eric Jones on lap 167. Jones taking over the 20 car, which Kenseth currently drives. So that was an interesting battle. Every time you see him on the track, that's the story you think of. You're like, oh, are they rivals now? Well, not really. Denny Hamlin, he thought he had a loose wheel. They debated it, and Denny's like, I just got to come in. Even if they think you got all the lug nuts on, it's just loose. So they came in. It turns out he did have a loose wheel. Martin Truex Jr. started to come back, rally through the field. So, yeah, Martin Truex Jr. was back in the top 10 on lap 216 or so. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s had issues from the damage on his right. The spotter, TJ Majors, was like, it's left rear, but Dale's like, no, it's left front. But his whole car was messed up. He ended up shredding a huge piece of debris, and there was a legit debris caution, not a water bottle. Kyle Busch first off the pit, 72 to go. Bowyer McMurray made some contact, and Bowyer, who's not in the playoffs, McMurray, who's in the playoffs. If that had been a wreck, that could have been a fight. But yeah, didn't happen. Kenseth was able to get back to second a lot with 63 to go. Casey Kane, he had a tire down, he thought, and he went up the track and he stopped, so he intentionally caused a caution, and NASCAR was upset, so they penalized him. But it turns out he had a suspension issues. Like, the car is usually a certain height, but you could tell that the back end had dropped, and it was like the back rear, like, I don't know what it's called, was over the tire, and you could tell that his suspension, when he drove, kind of wobbled, which are usually signs of a suspension issue, as I said. Martin Truex Jr. took 2 tires. He was back to first. He goes a little wide on that restart just because he's on old tires and he just didn't get a great restart. David Reagan spun that lap. There was a caution. And then off the restart, Trevor Bayne got spun out. So, yeah. Truex and Kenseth had a nice battle for third, and Kyle Busch won. So, I predicted it right. Like, go to my playoff preview video. I said Kyle Busch will win New Hampshire. I have it in writing. Look, there's a little check. A little check by New Hampshire. There's a little check, New Hampshire. Kyle Busch. Check. Kyle Busch. Boom. So, yeah. I predicted something right in your face, interwebs. I beat you. I beat the system. There's no system. I'm just saying I'm going to go through the results. Kyle Busch won, Kyle Larson second, Matt Kenseth third, fourth, Brad Keselowski fifth, Martin Truex Jr. So Martin Truex Jr. rallied. So these guys getting some good points for the playoffs. Larson and Keselowski have clinched to the next round on points, which is the first time ever because of the stage points and stuff, and they already had an advantage. Kenseth, he's pretty far. I'll talk about the points later. 6th, Eric Jones. 7th, Clint Bowyer. 8th, Daniel Suarez. They were non-playoff contenders, but they got some nice runs in the top 10. Ryan Blaney had a decent day, had a pretty good day. This is what he needs to run. He needs top 10 runs. He finished 9th. 10th, Joey Logano. 11th, Chase Elliott after that cheating last week. But, it's okay. He gets Allen back next week. It's okay. 12th, Denny Hamlin. 13th, Ryan Newman. He had to come back. He was a lap down at some point. 14th, Jimmy Johnson. He had a good day. He kind of faded at the end. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. somehow ended up 15th. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Jamie McMurray, AJ Allmendinger, Danica Patrick, Austin Dillon, Paul Menard, Chris Buescher, Ty Dillon, Michael McDowell, Trevor Bayne, Landon Castle, Eric Almirola, Corey LaJoy, Reed Sorensen, David Reagan, Cole Witt, Matty Benedetto, Brett Moffitt, Greg Galding, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was in that crash, Casey Kane, who had that suspension issue, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Jeffrey Earnhardt, who were in that crashes, and then Cody Ware. Who's Cody Ware? Exactly. You're confused now. It's okay. So point situation, clinched into the next round. Truex, Busch off of wins. Larson, Keselowski off points. Currently, Denny Hamlin who's in Hamlin, Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Jamie McMurray, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as a tiebreaker over Austin Dillon. So what this means is that I'd be wrong because I had Kurt Busch advancing, but he got in that crash. So yeah, points between the cut line. McMurray's on the bubble, I'd say. Harvick, he's 25 ahead. I'd consider him on the bubble. 26 ahead of Elliott. 26 ahead. Blaney's on the bubble. 32 ahead Johnson. I'd say he's pretty safe. Kenseth safe, and everyone else is pretty much safe unless there's a catastrophe. There's no way that they can get out, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the race recap for this week. Texas plays on Thursday at Iowa State. I'll do a preview for that tomorrow night, most likely. And then Big 12 preview will come after that, and I'll talk about the game. I'll do a separate video for the game, then I'll do the Big 12 preview this Friday or something. I don't know. I'll plan it out. But you'll get a video, most likely tomorrow, hopefully. Depending on my schedule. Just rely on there being a video tomorrow. I'll get it to you.